The Detroit Lions have finally done it. They won the NFC North after 30 long years. I'm extremely excited. Not even just winning the North, but a playoff game guaranteed. It feels, I don't even know how to feel. I've never had this in my life, a guaranteed playoff spot at Ford Field. At the beginning of the season, I predicted the Lions would go 13-4, win the division, and host a playoff game at Ford Field. So far, it's looking like that could be a possibility. They just need to win 2 more games. I think they will definitely beat the Vikings. I'm a little worried about Dallas. They're coming off a loss to the Dolphins. The Cowboys, their only big win is against the Eagles. And you could argue that the Lions haven't had any big wins either. But it's watching how they played the Dolphins and then watching how the Lions play the Vikings, I think the Lions just look like the better team right now. I think the only way the Lions lose that game is if we just have a terrible start to the game and we can just, Goff never recovers, the defense never recovers, our mental's gone, and we get blown out. If the Lions don't get blown out, I think they win the game 100%. Just another prediction for the game, I think it's going to be really centered around the Cowboys. It's prime time. Jimmy Johnson's getting entered into the Hall of Fame on Saturday night. Joe Buck's calling the game. I think just during the game, you're going to hear a lot of, is this the Cowboys' year? Is this the year that the Cowboys will finally win in the divisional round and make it to the NFC Championship? And I bet there's going to be a ton of talk of how much Dak has improved from last year. And I think this is the Lions' game to steal, and I think they will go to Dallas and get revenge from last year, because last year was horrible. For the playoffs for Dallas, I don't think they will win in the divisional round. They're going to have to play the Lions, 49ers, Eagles. I think the Cowboys, they have a decent team, good defense. I just don't think they have it in them. Just watching the games, I think the Eagles are still a better team, the 49ers, and the Lions. But that will be put to the test on Saturday night. Maybe I'm wrong. So the Lions won the NFC North. It's the first time in 30 years. We had to sacrifice the Pistons to do it, but it's amazing to see how much this organization has turned it around with hiring Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes is drafting alone, and free agent signing has changed this team. It was great to see Taylor Decker on the podium. He's been through it for 8 years. It was really cool to see how much he puts into this team and how much the division means to him. Detroit's culture is just amazing, and we're just built of great players with great mindsets. It's really amazing to see how far this team's come. You can really see these new players and how well they've meshed with the older ones. Williams in his first 9 games was 5 of 21 for a 23% catch rate. Now he's 18 of 27. A lot better. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Williams will be a star. The only problem though is, I'll admit it, I don't love Goff's deep ball. Usually when he throws it deep to him, I feel it's inaccurate and it could be better. I love Goff, but I feel like that is one of his weaknesses, and it's tough because that's one of Williams' strengths. But we've seen it before. We can use Williams' speed in other ways, and Gibbs has been nothing but amazing. Just able to break tackles like nothing. His speed's amazing. Defensively, there's still some issues. We had 4 interceptions and 3 sacks, but I think that's just because it was Nick Mullins. He's ass. The Lions gave up 11 plays of 20 plus yards against the Vikings. I mean, there was wide open wide receiver after wide open wide receiver over the middle of the field. That's probably the biggest thing I'm worried about against Dallas and for the Lions in the playoffs. Next weekend, CeeDee Lamb is going to have 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. It'd be very helpful if we had CJ Gardner-Johnson's return. It's a possibility he could play this weekend. People are optimistic that he'll play 15-20 snaps. I honestly don't think he's going to play. But when he comes back, that's going to be huge for the Lions. And a lot of our defensive players, I think, have gotten better throughout the year. Brian Branch has definitely improved. And we've had the recent emergence of Melifonwu. And it's not just because he had the game-winning interception. He's had 3 sacks over the last 2 games. He could really help out the pass rush, because that's also where the Lions have struggled. They did get a lot of pressure on the Vikings, though. Hopefully they can recreate that against Dallas and in the playoffs. I do think the Lions right now are a bit underrated. People, I think, kind of address the Lions that they only won the division because Packers have Jordan Love and are rebuilding. The Bears obviously are terrible in rebuilding. The Vikings are kind of dying out, and Kirk Cousins is injured, and they're going to have to get rid of him after this year, or they most likely will. I think from people's perspective, some people think that the Lions are just still the same old Lions. Larry Fitzgerald said that, which is a bit crazy. To me, some of that just comes from not watching any of the games. I think the Lions are a little underrated. The biggest team right now in the NFC North is the 49ers, but they just got taken down hard by the Ravens. So maybe that's now a little bit split more between the Eagles and the Lions and the Cowboys. But those are the four big teams, obviously, in the NFC. Even if the Lions do lose on Saturday, I don't think they will. But even if they do, I would take the Lions against any of these teams in the playoffs. Now, that might sound crazy, but I just think with the Lions mentality, with their culture, we saw them last year, week 18 against Green Bay. It was pretty much a playoff game. We saw them opening week against the Chiefs. When the Lions come out into these, so far, when this team has come out into those big games, they just have something about them. I just feel like they can't lose. I think the Lions are going to ride this hype train and go to the NFC Championship. Now, that's just my prediction. Obviously, again, it could be wrong. But that's what I'm kind of feeling right now. This team kind of feels unstoppable. I think our defense is been a little bit better and is going to get a little bit better with CJ Gardner-Johnson back. I mean, I know we gave up a lot of yards to the Vikings and their wide receivers, but our run defense is still very strong, and the way we decimated the Broncos is very motivating. And how we had our high scoring game against the Chargers and still came out on top during that game, I wasn't worried at all. I just knew every time the Chargers would score, the Lions would just easily drive down the field and score again. They looked unstoppable during that game, and I had no doubt in my mind that we were going to win. And I know the Chargers record isn't the best, but I think they're a lot better than what their record portrays. I said the Chargers should have fired Brandon Staley after they lost in the playoffs last year. There's no way you blow that lead and still have any success after that. They finally did it, though. At least they didn't wait till the end of this season. But that's my prediction for the Lions. Now, it'd be very, very sad if they didn't win in the playoffs. I'm a little bit nervous. Not that I think they can't win, but just what if they lost? That idea really scares me. They started out 1-8 or 1-6 last season, and they came back and finished 8-2, going 9-8. Now this season, at the moment, they're 11-4. If they lost in the playoffs, I feel like it'd be pretty embarrassing, especially at home. That'd be terrible. And then the same old Lions, that's what everyone would say. But I think some people have talked about it. I mentioned it before. Brad Holmes it almost seems like he's going to finish his rebuild next year. And like next year, the Lions are a Super Bowl contending team. Not that they're not, but we're still missing a few pieces, especially defensively. I don't think I'm making a lot of sense, but I've said all that to say, what are your expectations for the Lions in the playoffs this season? Mine, personally, they need to win a playoff game. They missed the playoffs last year. I think they would have won in the playoffs last season. I mean, just look at how the Giants played the Vikings. That was gross. But if they don't win a playoff game, I think it'd be a fail. If they win in the wild card round, because I don't think that they're going to get the number 1 seed. I think they're going to start out against, most likely right now, the Rams, maybe the Seahawks. The Seahawks would be a dirty rematch. If they win in the wild card round and then go to the divisional round and lose, I wouldn't be super upset. At least they get that one playoff win. I'm really hoping that the Lions can make it to the NFC Championship. I think that'd be a great accomplishment and really set the team in the right direction. But I won't be surprised if they do lose in the divisional round. But they just got to win at least one. They cannot go to the playoffs this year and lose. That would just be horrible. Let me know what you think will happen in the playoffs and over the next 2 weeks. And let me know your expectations for the Lions over the next 2 weeks and in the playoffs. What will you be happy with? What will you be disappointed with? If you enjoyed my content, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Once again, as always, thanks for watching.